ult down on you, the Earthshaker will stun and totem and echo slam you.
Maybe it's one of these BKB Desolator style games for the Weaver instead.
I think that's definitely going to be the call here. I think a BKB is absolutely necessary, but I also think that Weaver is one of the better heroes at dealing with a hero like Gyrocopter, because you don't get slowed during your Shikuchi. Like, you run in, you run out. Like we saw yesterday when they picked the Lifestealer against the Gyrocopter, it was absolute misery for Hal, because the rocket will still slow you. But I actually don't see Silent getting his homing missile at all.
Nah, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense for this game.
No.
Instead, just try and focus on getting your damage output and staying alive during the team fights. I don't know if you still bypass the homing missile just to get more stats as well.
Yeah, it's not even like you can really cancel TPs with the ability, because if somebody starts TPing in front of you and then you decide you're going to use a homing missile, like it's not really gonna. It's gonna take too long to cancel out. So I think it's irrelevant. And so Ice picking up a sentry and an observer ward. And again, Empire with control of their own jungle, making sure that nothing sneaky is happening and just trying to get information right now.
30 seconds
Ice
to
actually
battle.
didn't get down any kind of aggressive wards because he, as you said, he only just picked them up now. But there is one already down for Team Empire. So they've got this observer ward on the off lane, and they'll allow Yoki to have the vision to make the right plays. He's already got the boots up on the Earthshaker, so FY catching him out of position is not possible anymore because he's walking around with no boots on him, and same for Fenrir. So these supports, they're very much looking just to stack, farm, and primarily prep it for the SF. He can give them all the levels they require.
Begins.
All he's got to wait and do is just sit back when he comes to flash farm and soak up the levels with him. The SF just wants the money and the souls, that's all he needs.
Yeah, and if you're taking a look at these lineups, a lot of Empire heroes hard counter Vici's heroes. Like, I think Earthshaker's pretty good against Weaver. I think that the Disruptor is good against everybody on Vici Gaming. And Rubik is good against Weaver, but the one thing that Vici have for them is an aggressive lineup. Like, their heroes really run at you. Like, this is meant to be, let's try to take fights in the mid-game type of lineup, I feel.
A weird cog block place time for Ice. Doing it right in front of his tower while always on a fly was taking damage from one of the melee and the range creeps. So he held the creep wave back a long way, but the creep wave is still very, very standard. There's a defensive tri-lane here from Empire. So Ice just hopes he can get close enough to leech some level of experience. While in the bottom lane, this is a little bit more difficult for Yoki. And I can't believe I'm actually remembering this build right now. Man, I guess my brain's head off. But how... I'm wondering what type of, like, build he goes. Like, we've seen Weavers with no boots. We can also look at the Eternal Envy build, which is to run, like, phase boots, and you get very, very aggressive against the offlaners.
Yeah, I think that won't be necessary because he has a Visage and a Lion with him.
Yep.
So zoning out the offlaner or something like that won't be an issue for him at all. And Yoki's actually still doing okay though. He's almost picked up his level 2. Ice at top is in a similar position right now just because he can block your creeps, and it's harder for a Disruptor and a Rubik to be able to zone out the Clockwork than it is for a Visage, a Lion, and a Weaver to zone out the Earthshaker.
Well, for now, that's just a farm war. So, Silence on the top lane. That's that Gyrocopter. He's keeping up with the Weaver. Everything's pretty even-Stevens. They're not keeping perfect control of this lane, but at the same time, Ice isn't pushing the issue any further. Like, he's not even walking past this line unless he feels 100% certain that he can do so without dying.
Yeah,
because he's got no vision on the side.
Oh, for sure. He's just, I think last game, or the last series that they played, he played a little bit too over-aggressive, and it seems like this game, there's more of a focus on not giving Silent up, like, for anything. Like, don't die, just try to get as many levels as I can, play it safe, and then look for levels.
Yeah, well, why be over-aggressive when you know your flash farming is... I'm not going to say it's better because you still got a Gyrocopter over on Empire, but I'm also looking at the jungle of the Dire side, and there's only one stack which is being prepared for him. So it's not that great. At the same time, I can also look at the VG Gaming side. We're only 2.5 minutes in, obviously, but there's no stacks prepared here for Super either.
Silent at top, taking some harass, but just kind of trying to tank the creeps so they don't get to the tower too quickly, and so he's going to hold it right here. Wait for the creeps to come out so the lane doesn't push out too far. And Yoki at bottom, just continuing to try to survive and get levels. That's all he needs in this game. We've seen him with just a Soul Ring and Trinkle Boots make a lot happen.
He's coming, I'll say he's coming down for the room, but he's a minute too early. He looked like he's also 2 seconds too late to stack up the Ancients, and he's leaving. He's left the bottom.
I think he realizes that it's the positioning of the lane. He's got a ward there as well. He realizes that he's going to get harassed too hard by Fenrir. And Earthshaker is one of those heroes, Toby, that can't pressure in the offlane. It's not like an Axe. You're just meant to survive in this kind of lane.
Yeah, but the only other option you then got is to do what he's doing, which is look towards the middle lane, and maybe he can get some kind of fissure damage or stun into super, and that'll just buy enough space for Resolution to find that kill. Resolution's already up at level 5, so he's got 3 points up in the poison attack, but no Viper Strike just yet.
I think even with the Viper Strike, it'd be a little bit difficult to kill super because he's just going to bottle prone into the jungle as soon as he picks up some levels and just spam out raids. Like, if he plays this correctly, Resolution shouldn't really get the kill on him unless he just massively messes up.
At the same time though, okay, let's talk about the Gyro as well as the Weaver. Let's isolate the two carries. Both have pretty much the same amount of farm. What timings are we looking at from the both? Like, we talk about BKB Desolator coming in from Weaver. We'll assume he's going to build that up against a normal Gyro build. Who's coming online first to do something today?
I think that the Weaver, it requires a little bit more farm because you're so susceptible to like one stun death. So I think that it's going to be easier for the Gyrocopter to be able to get online, but in mid, this...
Loving this with that fire and Yoki. Yoki's going to double damage through him, and they're going to glimpse him back down again. Resolution with the slow. They lock him in. There's a 3-man stun from FY. He does have a Hex of Bubble. Going to throw a Resolution, but this will be the first blood. Spilled by Team Empire. At the same time, Ice Ice is also going to drop as Team Empire catching out the Clockwork very deep in.
Yeah, the Lion was just trying to stack, see what was going on, but the catch ability is a little bit too high. Resolution is, with the poison attack, slows him down enough, and everybody was prepared for that one. And even though FY pretty much got like a Tide Ravage off, it doesn't matter.
And with the death of Ice, it looked like telekinesis was the primary thing that brought him down. And it's one of the worst things that you've actually got possibly one of the greatest Rubik games out there, because you have a Clockwork whose your telekinesis is perfect, because you pick up the Clockwork, you throw him outside of his own cogs, and more than likely in that scenario, he was thrown to the far side of his cogs. He has no choice but to run even deeper into dire territory. And then you got the Weaver, which so he can always reposition. Now middle lane Resolution, a little bit too aggressive over on Super. The Thunder there, he's got one long raise, actually misses the raise. He went for the short range, and it wasn't in range of Resolution. Well, now always when a flyer's going to pop out that damage. The medium raise not far enough out, and Super skin down with a poison attack. Yogi's got nothing more to give. I think he's trying to give vision to allow the attack from Resolution to hit on top of Super. But not going to be possible. So, no kills after a bit of an engagement.
Yeah, so both teams just kind of circle out. Ice came as well, but Yoki was there as well, so it's probably a pretty decent trade for both teams. And Resolution's actually just going to back out of this lane because Super has raises. He does know that the line is sitting behind him at this point. And the sentry, it's just outside of the Observer Ward range as well. It's so unfortunate right now for Vici Gaming.
Finally venue.
Dire's middle tower
also down
is
the
under
bottom lane,
attack.
Hal running in very, very deep and around the bottom tier 1 tower. He's got this haste rune, and he's used it to get in behind the tower, while you have just
Dire's
Fenrir
middle
forcing the
tower is
lane.
under attack.
Now, to most people, this will
Radiant
just look like, okay, they're
structures
giving
are
Fenrir some
fortified.
space, someone's go inside the jungle to find some extra farm, and that's
Radiant's
all it's coming
top
down
tower
to.
is under
Yogi's feeling
attack.
like something is wrong. He's moving into the tree line, and then Hal runs through the
Dire's
creep wave,
bottom
damaging
tower
Richard
is
Ritchie.
under attack.
Yeah, and that top
Sorry,
Ice died again. He's going to go down again for the second time right here. Both supports are in position, and that's the third time they've killed him now. And meanwhile, it's him as well.
Wow. Resolution's going to drop too, but that's sort of revenge kill for losing the Shadow Fiend. So FY's going to get some good experience and money from this. But beyond
Radiant's
that,
top
your
tower
balls are
is
dying
under
all
attack.
across the map for VG Gaming, apart from Hal. Hal's the only man that hasn't been touched. But he's still not finding anywhere near as much farm as Silent is. Silent's already up at 3.7k in the net
Dire's
worth
bottom
compared
tower
to the
is
3k
under
of
attack.
Hal.
And this is the strength of Gyrocopter as a carry. Just the Rocket Barrage does so much
Radiant's
damage to
top
melee heroes.
tower is under
It zones
attack.
out by itself.
Dire's
essentially.
middle tower
I mean,
is under
I
attack.
think you missed that kill in the middle, right? Because we were looking at the one at top, and it's just a bloodbath right now. Like, Empire picking up solo kills on heroes. That's not something you typically see from Vici's cores. Like, it's been a while since I've seen Super just get solo kills by somebody. But able to do it. Actually, I think they were, somebody might have been there, but no, it wasn't, because both supports were top and Yoki was bottom. Yeah, that was actually a straight up solo kill.
Oh, wait, yeah, you mean up against the SF?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually a 1-on-2 in fact, because Lion was there to get the revenge kill.
Yeah, exactly. And so for this to happen, you're solo mid to lose, essentially straight up just 1v1, and Viper is meant to do that. And Silent having such a good game as he is, with 2 kills, supports also have a lot of levels off the bat as a result, I mean, you're just winning this trade.
Overall, though, it's not as much as you'd expect. Like, I know we're only 8 minutes in, but the advantage is still sitting at 1,500, and the experience is swinging up and down. So overall, while it's looking great for Team Empire and the kill count is fantastic, it might be easier if FY can get this under resolution. Start with follow-up stun. Again, Super misplacing these razors. Unable to connect on resolution now. The physical FY, it's going to be a revenge kill. So Lion's dead no matter what here. At least SF will survive, or yeah, Yoki's not going to get there, and he also doesn't have a stun available, so that's not going to help him. Some uncharacteristic moves coming out from Super.
Yeah, and for him to be able to miss those raises, I think even if he hits those raises, it's a little bit close because resolution does have the stick, and maybe if he was in a slightly better position, yeah, they can get the kill, but they also have to always anticipate the Earthshaker coming in, because this is one of the better heroes at counter-initiating, right?
Yep.
You try to go in a hero, there's no real getting out because the fissure range is so large.
ISIS was forced to TP up that top lane again. They actually committed a cooldown for that too. He's still not level 6, so there's still no initiation, but now we try a different tact. Before it was the Visage sitting in the tree lines, but Fenrir now has moved back into the lane, and it's Hal who's moved into the tree line once again. They really just want to find a kill on this off lane, but they can't find it. Like, you've even got Yoki sitting at the back. Do they just have vision of him? Yeah, the Observer Ward's watching him. I'm also seeing Lion moving very aggressively into the jungle. He's going to go behind with a Finger of Death. A guaranteed kill over on the Gyro. While Hao should have just scouted out Aloha Dance and Resolution moving up.
Yeah, and that's like a level and a half, Toby, for that Lion to be able to get that solo kill, and that's on the core. So this is what Vici need. Step back into this game, and Hao, he spotted out, but they don't have vision of him, and he's just kind of skittering in and out, and Aloha Dance is getting quite low, but he does have the level 6.
Yeah, which means that ulti's going to lock Hao into vision. Is there enough damage to her? General attack, just not enough.
They gotta get them both! They gotta get them!
14 HP, he survives.
Oh my...
There's still a Clockwork Rocket at level 2.
There's a regen at bottom as well. Alright.
It's got Nern.
Here we go.
Fine. You've already got Nern of Shadows over on the Disruptor, so the Rocket can't kill him.
Oh, but it was scary. He was probably screaming at his team. He's like, there's a bug on me! That's how I would react if I had spiders on me.
You have fear of arachnids.
Yeah, they're scary. It's small bugs, man.
Never go to Australia.
I would do that just because you're from there, Toby. I'm just kidding, man.
Just kidding, I hate you. So now you commit one of your cores. You actually bring Super all the way up to the top lane to try and attack into a Gyrocopter. So at least you force Gyro out of the lane. That's one nice thing. The downside is, look what Super's been forced to build into. We're getting a mech build coming up on the Shadow Fiend just to try and survive. He's the only one for his team getting the money.
Yeah, and they know that Silent is up here, and at top they're trying to make a move, and they should know about this resolution. They found him.
Yeah, FY right back. Resolution get heads up at the moment. The Rocket Barrage is killing off FY. Destructive will still secure with that last basic attack. And meanwhile, in the middle lane, Hao and Super. Okay, yeah, Viper cancelling that TP. Super was winding up with a full Requiem of Souls in the exact position. They're missing the timing on the towers, but it seems to work at the end of the day. So Weaver will get the last hit in the tier 1 tower. Always want to fly, failed the attempted deny.
Regeneration.
And that's going to give a small advantage to VG Gaming. Yeah, you lost the Lion, sure. But at the same time, you're just taking out a tier 1 tower for much needed money. And Fenrir's got level 6.
This is one of the better heroes, Toby, at getting ahead is the Disruptor. Just because if you're ahead, you want to glimpse people back into you. But if you're behind, this hero almost feels useless because he's so level dependent. But in this type of game, Aloha Dance is going to have such a big impact just because he's hit his level 6 timing at such a reasonable time. And now they're smoked up, just trying to see who they can find. It looks like the target is going to be Hao here at bottom.
No, just after he's gone for Yoki, but there's no time lapse available. He's going Shikuchi further up. The Observer Ward's allowing him to see all this rotation, not to mention the familiars were stalking him the entire way. He's going to walk straight past Resolution. But they're not interested in fighting. Remember, VG Gaming still want to try and fight this into the later game. The Viper, well, he kind of tails off a little bit compared to the SF as well as the Weaver.
Yeah. The Weaver is one of those heroes. Late game, if he's 6-slotted and you're losing the game, it feels so hard to play against, but it's not my side.
Still a look to the bow. He'll drop out this one, but low hard dance. This man's timing is unbelievable for the Disruptor. He actually waited that one out, realizing when Ice was in a better position to use an ability.
Yeah, and they're pinging it out right now. It looks like they want to make another go at it. They do have blimps available right now, so they have to do a little bit more for this.
There's the first stun, silent fingered, as well as being soul or something. Resolution having a hard time getting out of here. They'll deny the tier 1 tower. But Empire, they take it, it is denied. And then you also have the gyro death. They're going to stop this from happening. This is now the second death for the gyrocopter. They're going to start losing all this momentum they've worked so hard to build.
Yeah, and that was, this is like the most I've seen Talon die in quite some time in the early game in the bottom.
Yeah, Ice is waiting for that. The Echo Set will come out, but this time around Super hitting the Razor perfectly with its attack as well. They're able to get that pick up on the Earthshaker.
That was such a clutch kill as well because the Earthshaker is getting dangerously close to his Blink Dagger. He's already at 1500 gold right now, and so that's something that Vici have to pay attention to at all times because once the Earthshaker has a Blink Dagger, your Weaver is no longer safe. Like, there's just too much lockdown that's going to come in the form of Fissure and the follow-up Enchant Totem, and so him plus maybe one support could be able to kill the Weaver, who doesn't actually have that much farm right now. He's actually opted to go for an Ultimate Orb.
I'm actually wondering too with like, you're right, he's going to go for a Linken's build.
Yeah, he could do that. He could go for a Manta as well, but I'm a little bit skeptical about it just because the Disruptor will still wreck him.
Yeah. At the same time, maybe, I'd say if you're preparing for an Aghanim set or a low hard dance, then something else is wrong with your game. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, we already talked about this during the draft, so we won't ham on about it until we see what house really going to be building into. But I'm looking at the SF instead. He's managed to pick up this mech, standard the rest of the items, but where does he go from here? Is this where you look for survivability on Super? You try and build into something like a BKB? Or do you say, okay, I need to have damage, what do I need to really fight up against Empire? The BKB still seems to be the most obvious with Disruptor on the field.
I think the BKB is 100% the choice. Oh, and both supports are smoked up right now. They don't have a core with them, and they're actually headed into the Roach Pit.
Yeah, they just leave an Observer Ward behind. There's a low hard dance always want to fly, which is the two supports you're talking about, which is smoked up. The Observer Ward's scouting out a lot of TPs coming down from Team Empire, and yeah, Vici Gaming. They just pop inside the pit with the Familiars, they've got the control as well as the extra damage required. There's only one point up in the presence of the Dark Lord, so it's only -3 armor on Roshan. But it still looks like it's going to be enough to finish the job.
Yeah, they've got the Medallion of Purge up as well. It doesn't look like Empire actually knows what this is going on in the middle. That's how Ice Dice the kill.
Up his sleeve. Don't throw him out, but the Fidget Ball's going to be there. That's why I couldn't make as much space. But it's so worth it. You've just got Nagus the Immortal on the back of the Shadow Fiend, and you lost no real tower position. It's just another death for the Clockwork.
Yeah, but it looks like Empire want to get into this fight, knowing that Ice is dead. Oh, they're going to get the glimpse on Super.
That's big, but they keep controlling long enough. The Marines coming back in again. Super low on life, and there goes your Aegis the Immortal. No Requiem in time, and also no protection. The next 40 is used. They lose the side of that Super. More control. Down for the count. The Giant will take the kill with the call down and flat cannon. Everything's turned on. And VG Gaming, well, I thought that Aegis might have howled on set, but they can't lose more. There's not enough control left on the Weaver. For VG Gaming, you lose 4 heroes for the price of an Earthshaker.
This is the strength of the Disruptor. They don't have a smoke to get out of that Roach Pit. They try to walk out, but you're not going to do that. And it's the positioning that matters more than the Aegis every single time. Is that teams assume, okay, we have an Aegis, they're going to avoid fighting us. But if you can isolate the Shadow Fiend aside from the rest of the team, and Ice is dead, you'll take that fight every single time. Because without a BKB, you kill him twice, no problem.
You got your Earthshaker timing. I think Yogi's about to try and put it directly to use. Shikuchiing himself away as quickly as he can. It is a full Linken. He just picked up the Perseverance from the side shop.
Oh, and Yoki actually guesses wrong with the owl. Oh, he actually gets stunned though.
He caught him. He didn't take any damage with the Echo.
Oh, he's got this.
Oh my Yoki! He almost brought down Hal. The rocket's flying into. He's got Blink off cooldown and 1 second time now Disruptor. That lifts him back up. There's actually past the wall. He got stunned up again. So it won't be a full escape with Kikuchi. The Thunderstrike and Earn and Gisha. It all flies in and they pick up Hal. Man, Empire, they're all over him like a hot rash.
Yeah, that was actually insane that they were able to find that out. It was a little bit sloppy, and everyone probably was in that mentality of like, go, go! And if you saw their faces, they were probably a little bit antsy about that, but being able to get the kill on Hal before he picks up his Lincolns is absolutely huge. And again, Empire just... what it feels like, Toby, for me, is that they really understand how Vici play. Like, it feels like they prepared for them specifically. They're like, we're going to meet Vici in the finals. How are we going to play this? And so far, the answer has been isolate Ice 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 as much as possible and punish them for once for their greedy moves. Like, don't let them just kind of have their way with you like they normally play, where they get items, they farm out with impunity and aggression. Punish them at all times.
And they're doing it perfectly. They got to keep it up, however, but as this progresses, the Golden experience is finally really kicking up their way. That Gyrocop is going to find himself with more immunity as well as damage, as he's rapidly approaching his BKB. BKB is still going to be able to take out the T1 tower. It's just the power of really Visage and the damage which can arrive from Super. Even though he's not max sold at the moment, it's still nice. Yeah. But I think the bigger thing is just the fact that these BKBs for PG Gaming, they're not coming soon enough. And this Lincoln Spear, I still don't see it protecting Hal after you've seen what Disruptor can do. The only thing it'll protect him from is the glimpse back. That's the one thing which he will be safe from.
Yeah, that top always want to fly. Now gets a hold of the Shikuchi, and he's actually just looking around to see if he can grab him. But it shouldn't matter. Just a combination of those two heroes won't be able to do enough, and they're just kind of invising around each other. And Hal is still farming pretty greedily, but there's no real response from Empire, as they can't really get enough heroes up there for it to matter.
Yeah. And they don't really need to respond. Like, you've got Resolution farming up, you're going to look for your next timing. So he's looking towards having his Aghanim Scepter. The BKB is now 650 gold away from Silence, so he'll keep farming that one up. Rubik needs the recipe for the 4-star, so it's still a little bit more expensive for him, but he's going to get there. And you've got one of the big items up as well for Disruptor. You've got a Glimmer Cape now completed for him too.
It's going to be so hard for a lot of Vici's gaming lineup.
Goodbye, man. Yoki and Aloha Dance have got his number perfectly. The Urn Charge will kill him off as well. That's why Yoki just blinks in front and looks for the next target. They just know they can keep forcing things up against VG.
They know as long as BKB don't exist right now, they have the upper hand. They just have so much of an advantage in terms of how their items have progressed. You've got a 4K net worth lead on Empire, but more importantly than that, you have momentum, Toby.
Yeah. And they just picked up more of it. Just with the Ancients of VG Gaming. 50 gold until the BKB is done. He's actually soloing up the line.
The Glimmer Cave.
But you can just walk right on top of him, it's fine.
Yeah, you can't actually die during that as well because the magic resistance is so high that the Lion has almost no comeback with potential to fight into that.
Oh man, this one in the mid, but it's going to be Silent. He will eventually go down here, but you've just lost your Shadow Fiend for it. Rubik was also a casualty of war, so it's a better trade-off for VG Gaming. They're still 2 for 2 overall.
A little bit aggressive by Empire going for that 2-man. They're just going for 2-man rotations right now to see who they can pick off, but I think that was just a little bit too over-aggressive. And the Weaver finally picks up his instance here. So Aloha Dance shouldn't be able to do what he's been doing all game. But something I want to discuss right now that we haven't really talked about is just Ice 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 and the impact that he hasn't been able to have. This is a guy that you would put in the top 2. It's between, I feel, him and Universe as to who the best offlaners are. And how many games have you seen him this shutout? He's got an earn in 2K gold at 21 minutes and he's 0-5-3.
Yeah. But things are wrong. Well, actually, things are right if you're an Empire fan. They're just moving perfectly. You said it yourself, like, they've got to shut him down. You play up against VG Gaming strength. And Ice 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 can't do anything. Like, even when he does have the hook shot, I actually don't remember a time apart from now that middle lane where he hook shot it in, where he's made any form of play which has deterred Empire from their goal.
Yeah, and there was that one at bottom which was really good, but at the same time, I think it's less about Ice 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 having a bad game. Like, this is a typical
How no way out. Spins off away. How the Vic got thrown back in again. He can time us out, however. They throw down the sentry, but can't pull it back. Ice 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 hooks off cooldown. He jumps in the resolution with FY, who's in even more trouble. Wants to finger of death off, which he can do so, but it's so ineffective. You've got Howard away from the fight, bouncing around. Ice Ice Ice, no control, until he steals the cogs, pushing him back with the stun from the Earthshaker as well. That's what cancels off the TP. And that's going to be 2 quick kills here for Empire online as well as Clockwork. But at least Hal is capable of surviving.
Yeah, and look at Aloha Dance. He's just positioning himself so aggressively. Like, he runs forward because he's trying to catch people with glimpse. And what I wanted to say is that I think it's less about Ice 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 playing poorly. Oh, and at top, the courier actually gets sniped by Weaver.
He took out the Aghanims of Resolution.
Oh, that shouldn't be too significant though, because I don't think that it stops the 30. But yeah, I think it's less about Ice 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 playing poorly and more just the fact that Empire supports are always on top of him.
Yeah. No breathing space. No breathing space at all for Vici. We already said Empire had that when they had the one game advantage coming into this grand final, and with this performance so far in the first game, like official game of the grand final, it's been pretty brutal.
We should wait it out, though. Rings aren't the worst right now. Hao is starting to get a little bit more. He was able to get the kill on the silence gyrocopter mid, and at the same time, you finally have your BKB on your Shadow Fiend. And for SF, this is like the most iconic item that you absolutely need to get into team fights.
Yep. Looks like Hal's actually picked up one of the Mithril Hammers too. I'm wondering if he's considering a BKB as well. Oh, they found Aloha Dance running in and around him, and then away. There's no way he wants to try and fight this one. But this is, you're right, it is one of these situations where you have to look at Vici Gaming's approach. Like, what do they look towards? The SF, defending from high ground, quite easy. In fact, Vici Gaming, I don't think any team will ever feel confident pushing up into the high ground against Vici Gaming. But when you've got Scarab, Beetles, you've got your Razors, you've got your Rockets, you've got potential like burst soul assumption damage and fingers of death, and then also buybacks coming out from Vici Gaming, it's a very daunting task to come up on the high ground when you don't really have a hero who's great at clearing off buildings. Until Gyrocopter can pick up something like the 4 Monkey King bar or maybe a little bit more, you won't really have that kind of confidence. So if Vici Gaming can wait this out, you get more farm over on Hao, they won't, or they may not have enough control factors unless that Earthshaker initially jumps him. So if Hao can avoid that initial attack from Team Empire, then you've got a lot of potential for him to do that damage during the fights. A good Desolator, maybe with a Crystals into a Daedalus. There'll be a couple of hits to kill off Aloha Dance, a couple of hits to kill off the Rubik, and it could be looking really good. Obviously, we're looking at this as best case scenario.
I actually still think that Vici are still in this game. If you look at the scoreline, yeah, Empire have taken a large portion of the map and they have a lot of control, but I think that Vici can still win this game on the back of Hao. Hao's got a lot of farm. Weaver is one of those heroes that if you can't crowd control him down for the entirety, what's going to end up happening, Toby, is if they don't kill him in that Disruptor ultimate, or if Earthshaker uses his Fissure and his Enchant Totem and they don't bring him down, then he just goes to town on them. Like, there's not a whole lot after that, especially with that Lincoln. And if he decides to get a BKB at some point, it's going to be so hard for them to lock him down. And so I think once he picks up those items, then you can really get a good idea of how this game's going to go. But at bottom, they're going to Glimmer Cape in with Aloha Dance and try to get this kill on bottom at Hao.
He's going to get out of here right now. In fact, actually time matches. Jaku's still battle, and he gets out of the wall. That's big. That's actually one of the very few ultimates of Aloha Dance which is missed. Yeah, and he remains invisible. The second time you do have Super, who was waiting for Always Want to Fly, hits on 2 of the Rays. They force-staff him down in range of Yoki. But with no Scarab Beetles and Super's ulti on cooldown, they just want to keep the distance here. Empire as well as Vici.
That definitely could have been executed better. I think Resolution has to wait half a second there and not walk so much forward, because if the Disruptor gets in place then they have enough time. But right now for Vici Gaming, this gets a little bit tricky once Empire becomes a Vegas of their own.
Clockwork Rocket's going to scout it out, but they're not ready to fight. The line could potentially TP him, but he has to jump to the tier 2 tower. So right now, Ice, well, he could YOLO this, but at the same time, always want to fly it through the out to make sure he cannot. And Yoki's waiting for it. Yeah, they just let it go.
They actually might catch this as well. Always want to fly. Position.
Yeah, pick him up, throw him down. The battery assault's going to be there. He can clog up and they've already used their glimpse. He hook shots away the creep wave. So Ice is out to safety.
I think
they kill the Familiars too? Actually, no, the Familiars got away.
I think Aloha Dance messed up there for once in this game. He throws a glimpse right back on top of the same area, and they weren't able to follow up, but still, good move by Ice being able to get out there. And he's just trying to scout for as long as he possibly can, create some time for his team. If you kind of question why he's there, it's just for that purpose, so that Empire don't immediately walk out TP and then kill the rest of his team. Like, he's okay with sacrificing himself there.
Yeah. He keeps him back. He also made a bit of a distraction because the Familiars were on top of Roshan.
Exactly.
So they were looking to either deny off the Aegis, take the last hit, or at least just stall up Team Empire as they feel like everything's not as comfortable. And it is having the desired effect, like Empire. You got one player, like Always Want to Fly, already went back to base. They're moving out of 4 now on the top lane. But instantly, Super's pushing out bottom. You got Hao who was farming up Ancients, now he's moved over to Radiant Jungle. The Desolator is completed. We're 28 minutes in. It's 1,100 gold on him at the moment. But more importantly, he's got more net worth than the Viper. And he's not that far behind the Gyrocopter. This Weaver is becoming a massive problem for Empire. And all the early kills they were getting are not continuing. It's all starting to slow down.
Yeah, and as this kind of 5-man progression, once you go for things like Roshan, yeah, it's great that you have an Aegis, but at the same time, it just creates more time for Hao to be so useful in that one major engagement. And he's got the Desolator as well, and the supports aren't really safe from that. Even Aloha Dance.
Dire's bottom tower
Especially if
is
Yoki
under
ends up
attack.
having like one of these bugs in him before he
Dire's
can blink in.
structures are
He'll have to rely on the
fortified.
4-star or potentially get
Radiant's
caught in
middle
the
tower
backline
is
with
under
just
attack.
the Weaver. And that'll be
Radiant
his death.
structures are
And also another
fortified.
upside, Hao comes in with his
Dire's bottom
Desolator,
tower
and they
is
can
under
actually
attack.
play the tower trade-off game. So it's tier 2 for tier 2. They've got the negative armor
Dire's
coming in from
bottom
the
tower
Desolator, which
has
allows them
fallen.
to keep up with the rest of Empire, who remember
Radiant's middle
are
tower
not great
has
at pushing
fallen.
down towers. Saddle them for the more defensive nature with the Helm of the Dominator, so it's not the most king bar on him. And now he's actually going to go for a butterfly as well.
So they're playing aggressively now. Vici is pushing out the bottom lane, trying to force people back because they want to stall this engagement for as long as possible. What you're doing right now, Toby, is you realize that the Aegis is up, and what Empire want to do is get into a 5-on-5 engagement. But if you're Hao, just go, you know, flutter between lane to lane, try to create as much space as you can for Super, which is what you're doing right now, and just force people back at all times. And the only way that Empire can trade without getting traded on themselves is they have to kill Hao or Super before they go for this, because the amount of time it takes for them to go for these straight up 5v5 engagements is a little bit too long.
I think Hao wants to get rid of this off before he does anything.
Oh, it's off!
Hao, he's got time, let's can't get it off in time! Yoki again! All for the price of an Alpha Wolf!
That was like the least that was like the least worthwhile trade I've...
After all the space that has been created, the Alpha Wolf, maybe he's got something up against dogs, man.
Yeah, that was some sick bait. Like, well played, Wolf. Just like you just won Vici game, or you won Empire a game. That was like the most worthwhile Wolf I've ever seen.
Oh, it's good message. Resolution. Actually locked in here with Ice. He's gone for the Ghost, so Resolution can't keep attacking. Now FY will move in. Starts for the Hex, they can keep this control going. The Familiars will also arrive, and Resolution, well, Megcharge won't keep him alive here. FY deeper inside the pit. He's not a healthy man, but they're going to be fine up on top lane, where Empire is now attacking into the tier 3 tower. The rocket will mop up a lot of the creep wave's life, actually not as much as I thought it would. And, well...
Nobody has a TP right now on Vici Gaming.
Not really.
There's actually one on the line, but it's
Radiant's
on cooldown, and the Clockwork
tower
doesn't
has
have one,
fallen.
so that's a free tower, and Resolution, I mean, that's absolutely worth it right now to be able to open up the high ground for the next push that's
They're going to
coming
try
up.
and fight this. Look for the pickoff. Clockwork still got his hooks on a valve. He jumps up on the top, walks up. He was actually getting him away to safety, and now Ice, locked inside that he's dropped rolling. The Super with a BKB winding up his own ultimate. Stan's already got his own BKB up, so he's in effect unaffected by this. The Silent Super, Amos is up, there's no more help left. There is from Yoki, and now hit from Fenrir. They both end up exploding. One Yoki just going to bring him down. It's a 2-on-2 situation until Silent comes back to the world of the living. The Aegis Immortal will help him out, but it's Hal who's the last man standing. So the two primary cores, the ability to help out. Now he's got bugs in him. The time lapse allowing Hal to keep battling here, and Silent's losing armor very, very quickly. The Familiar can't catch up to him because the phase boost. Now he also triggers the drum charge. They just keep chasing. Negative 15 armor. That's why the Gemini attack did so much damage. Now he finally gets rid of the bug, but how? He could potentially shoot it up, but Resolution's here. Familiar. It doesn't get the drop down. The other one's coming in, but it'll also drop as well. And Hal is a long way behind enemy territories here. He has to get out.
Yeah, and if you're Empire, you're perfectly okay with that trade. Although Hao got quite a lot out of that, so did Silent, and you didn't even have your Viper there, your secondary core. So if you're Empire, you're satisfied with that trade. You were able to get that top tower out, which will open up the high ground. And that's something that Empire struggled to do because Gyrocopter, he's not the best at sieging towers just because of the short range. And they could just jump on him pre-BKB and blow him up. But now without that tower there, they can filter out, set up fights a little bit better.
Oh, poor Yoki. I think he was considering a jump down on top of Hal. If he forced off the Blink Dagger, he would have actually hit that very large Radiant Creep Wave with the Echo Slam and controlled up Hal. I don't know if it would have been enough damage to kill him. But Clockwork, Ellen hook shot, puts back always on the fly, and jumps in with a Glimmer Cape. With a very quick finger, they bring down the Rubik, while Resolution on the run. FY, that movement speed so high, he's actually draining out the mana, so he's got enough for a Hex and potentially a stun. He has the one charges as well for that, so they're not going to find it. So it's still a kill on a Rubik nonetheless.
In resolution, opts to go for that Vladimir's offering actually, which for people that are super confused as to why he did that, I think it's because he's not going to be able to afford something like an AC. They need some armor to be able to fight against How. Like, he needs cheap armor to be able to help out his team. And there is the lifesteal bonus for range heroes now, right? It's 10%, which isn't too big, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And so I think he's just looking for cheap alternatives to armor right now, which isn't an Assault Cuirass. And so he's going to grab this
middle tower is under attack.
Vladimir's offering right now. And I think this is going to mean some sort of death push incoming right now for Empire. Nope, they actually just decide that they're going to send always want to fly back mid.
Yeah, the tier 2 tower's taking too much damage, and Super would have just popped in there. Fly the free wave, it'll be gone, and then considerable damage can be done to the tier 2. If not, it being brought down. And what are you going to get in return? Like, you might pop up and take out the range ranks on top, but Vici Gaming this time should be walking around with, yeah, a bunch of TPs. Actually, Super doesn't have a TP. Okay, yeah, so you already used it. While on bottom lane, GG down, Weaver, killing off the Rubik, Resolution wants to keep battling here, FY, doesn't have a ton of bubble and cannot blink, mainly because he's still being attacked by...
This is not the
Yep, that's where that beacon, he's still able to keep sound from a high ground. Once again, Super using this ultimate of his without hitting silent, because he has the BKB protection up. But he's on the run out here, still the Desolator effect, and Hao is right in his tail. The attack with a Gambit, dropping him so low, 100 down, he has to run north. Urshik has killed off Clockwork in the meantime, back at the base, but I want to stick with this run for Hao. He's going to chase Silent all the way up into the trees. No more bugs as he turns left, Silent turns left, juking it down a little bit further. Okay, now we'll watch Aloha Dance for Fenrir, as the rest of the fight is going to be down there. And Fenrir, well, yep, Aloha Dance, Soul Assumption, Fenrir, he's so low. The Urn Charge is ticking him down, and that's going to be the kill for the Disruptor. Meanwhile, back in Texas, we've got Silent TPing out. How's going to find him? QTM, the attack is not enough in time. He'll TP all the way back to base and stay alive.
And Aloha Dance in the back line during that entire time manages to kill the Shadow Fiend almost by himself right there. And man, this guy keeps going insane. And he actually dodges most of the damage from the nuke or the Visage as well by using the Glimmer Cape. Negates that by half. Aloha Dance. I mean, talk about game-winning performances so far. 9-1 and 9, and I know the game isn't over, but if there's an MVP I feel for this weekend, it's going to be this guy. Like, he is... You never really talk about him in terms of top 3 supports in the world, but I mean, he's just made a good case for himself with this series.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, most of his highlight games have all been on this one hero, the Disruptor. He's made it. He's made it the support of this LAN final.
Yeah, the Roshan is up again, and this is a pretty critical timing right now for Empire. They can get this. It's going to force Vici into a really weird situation where they're already having trouble bringing Silent down once. Like, how are you actually going to do it twice?
Well, I think the answer is in the question. How? That's it. Like, all you need to do is get more damage into it. He's got one more slot, or 2 more slots left to get through the Ring of Aquila as well as the TP scroll. Yeah, it was lame, I know. But if he's able to find, like, that Daedalus, then he's looking really good.
I think he actually needs his BKB before anything. Like, he's picked up the BKB finally.
He's going up against Monkey.
Yeah,
next Butterfly, you're right.
There's going to be 2 Butterflies actually on the way of Empire right now, and so Empire getting this egg is kind of low, but Vici are in position. They realize they have to fight this one for their lives.
Oh, Hao's running in. He's going to pick up a regeneration rune, so at least got a mana for the fight, but he loses the double damage. Are they really going to try and finish off Roshan before Empire to contest it?
Oh, Empire isn't in position.
Hit, so they have no idea. Yeah, this egg is increased for folks of Vici Gaming, and I'm going to say up. There's more of a block right now, as Silent on the wrong side of the roster after who is very heavily with the high. He will eventually drop the Super again with his ultimate. You'll have to end up saving Yogi. And he's doing that with he's going to go down. Never got the cheese on. Super will break the Aegis. And what looked like a fantastic steal is now going to be another horrible fight for Vici Gaming after they take out Roshan. Super dying on one side, and you're going to bring back Fenrir to die again to the Disruptor. That's 2 in a row, Blitz. That's 2 in a row. They've taken out Roshan and then paid a horrible price for it.
It's all on Aloha Dance right there because the Weaver waited just a bit too long. The BKB doesn't really matter because Aloha Dance has the Aghanim Scepter, unable to pop the cheese. I mean, him having an Ags right now on top of his Glimmer Cape just completely won them the fight. The ultimate was placed almost perfectly, and even with the Aegis and the cheese advantage, they're nowhere near fighting position just because
Radiant's
I
middle
feel like the
tower
Shadow
has
Fiend
fallen.
just doesn't put out enough damage.
Radiant's
Silence
middle
just hand fights
barracks
him.
are under
The
attack.
SF ultimate isn't getting any leverage.
Radiant's middle
And
barracks
Ice
has
just
fallen.
doesn't have really the farm to back up his aggressive moves right now.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
And
Radiant's
because of
top
that, they're going to get
barracks
double
has
racks.
fallen.
And no real way to defend it.
Radiant's
There's still a
top barracks
30-second
has
window
fallen.
here. As far as the buybacks being available,
Radiant's
only
middle
Diva
barracks are
has it.
Radiant's
And
middle
that's not going to help
barracks has
Anthony. The
fallen.
only upside for him is the fact that T2 Tower is still alive on bottom lane, which is stopping Empire from finishing the job.
And Empire gonna go for this final Rax. They're just taking down this tower so that they have an opening. They don't have the Aegis or anything like that, but in terms of momentum, I mean, they just completely wiped, took 2 full sets of Rax with a tower in middle as well, and so in terms of money, they should be set for a lifetime.
Radiant's
They're
bottom
actually
tower
looking
is under
very,
attack.
very sweet. Gyrocopter's now 1,000 gold away from completing up his Monkey King bar. Resolution has a butterfly, but the remainder is back in his stash, and one part will they'll have to go
Radiant's
back to
bottom
base for
tower
now.
has fallen.
But if they give, like, by the time that Curry gets back, Silent will have the 3k to buy the MKB.
Yeah, and they're pushing down this bottom lane right now, and I mean, I don't know how Vici are gonna actually defend this because they're just so far behind in terms of actually that work. Especially after that last fight.
They jump up, there's just done into the finger of Silent still alive and fighting Ice again with his culture. Silent BKB protects him. The Weaver will finally end the disrupted winning streak and survive through this, and he'll move back over. They're looking for Silent, where the damage can come in. How? The FSN, there is the damage from Yogi to find that kill, but Hal is still traveling up against him, and he's not having to worry about the excess damage coming in from the Gyrocopter. And jump up from the fly, he was looking for the stun, lost the mana though with a cog burn. It was stolen by Always Wanna Fly, as he'll run out, in fact, TP his way to safety. Away from Hal, and Yoki will be just as successful. That's how they defend. No buybacks required, but they got rid of that Gyrocopter.
Yeah, and most importantly, I think, as well, Hal was able to live through that entire engagement and finally put out his damage that he needed to, because when team fights get really chaotic, Toby, and supports are starting to get isolated out, then it becomes a little bit difficult to lock down that bug because everybody's focusing on something different. Like the Gyrocopter's fighting the Shadow Fiend, and so nobody's on top of the Weaver, and Empire, you know, one of their supports is probably shouting like, hey, I'm dying here, like, you have to help me, but there's just not enough time, and that was the perfect fight for them right there.
Hal's going to have that Monkey King buff, so the fight's going to get better for him next time. They're going to have that true hit in. He's still 300 gold away. The problem is, when they're fighting up against 2 lanes of Raxes like this, they're not getting as much money out of these creatures as they would really like. But Hal's still going to find enough to finish the MKB. But then he'll have to get the gem over to somebody else, but that's fine.
I don't think he actually waits for a buyback here. I don't think it matters, because if your Shadow Fiend dies on top of that, he comes back with no souls and no farm anyways. It doesn't really matter. The better thing to do if you're Hao is just buy out, go for this one crucial fight.
Yep.
And if you're Vici Gaming and you hold one more time, first you get momentum. Secondly, Hao gets even bigger off of that. And you just buy yourself a little bit more time.
Taking a scenic route with the camera. And what is this time going to buy you now? Like, Empire might just wait for Rogue, yeah? But that's still a very long time away before he even potentially can respawn.
I don't think they wait for Roshan. I think that they strike again. They just say...
Just force the bottom lane and have confidence in yourself?
I think they played that fight a little bit too sloppy because they were so far ahead. They were like, oh, we're 2 racks up. We're so close to putting Vici in a 2-0 hole. We've got this, but I think that you slow down, you relax a little bit. Focus again. Focus on taking down Hao, and I think just breathe.
Just let the motion win. That's gonna kill everybody.
So if he puts that on Silent as well, it's going to get real difficult right now for Vici to be able to burst him down, and I think that's the plan. Put it on him or Resolution, let them tank up the Lion abilities, and there's a DD rune as well on Silent, and I think this is
Radiant
showtime for them.
structures
Yep,
are
they're gonna have a crack a
fortified.
little bit further up. I'm still watching
Radiant's
that
bottom
position of Hal.
tower is
He's
under
running through the
attack.
good bug shield, but allows Super just to get rid of the creep wave. They do blow the fortification here. At Empire, they just waited out.
I think that's okay right now for them to blow the fortification because it's a DD gyrocopter. You don't want the tower to go down even, and look at the position that Hao is in right now. He's waiting all the way up in this tree line, waiting for the fight to start, so he's nowhere near the disruptor.
Doesn't want to get caught outside at all. So he can play the game he wants to play. Silent. We're going to be careful about how close he gets. Hal refuses to come in close, but the familiars are also up on the tree line. surprisingly enough, the Dire don't have any... Okay, now they have vision because the creep wave's pushing in, and this will force some kind of reaction from VG Gaming. The top lane's pushed in a long way, so if they decide to fight up against Empire right now, they'll probably end up losing one of the tier 4 towers. Ice is bringing the creep wave down, so he's still got himself a jump in. Nice not damage just yet. He's gonna have to time lock himself away as he is chasing after a low hard dance. The committal is so high to kill off the support. Now Yogi as well has to find the kill here, and he's gonna go down. No buyback available for this Weaver. He's short by 600 gold. Super has already bought back into this. He's got a homing missile chasing him. They can't get rid of it in time. The familiar drop down will buy him that extra space as they deliver him up. He does have to turn back into the fight if he wants to, and there it is. The BKB is also being triggered, winding up the ultimate, thinking about it. There's the razors, there's double one, there's double two, double time down. Yogi back into the middle of the fight. That's a double kill for Resolution, and probably, and yes it is most definitely, GG is the call. Empire will take game number 1 and a 2-game lead over VG Gaming here in the Grand Final.
Man, I'm just stunned right now. Again, it's not even it's not the fact that they're winning, it's how they're winning. They're dominant in every single lane. Their rotations are so on point, doubling the kill score of Vici Gaming.